Well, hello, everyone. It's me, Gwen, and we're missing Joe today because he is doing some cooking. But we have our very own live and in the French garage goblin.
I know.
Garage goblin. There she is, and she's magically protected. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a bit of a different take on things because it's been such a weird and wacky week. We thought we wanted to kind of delve into a little more of the politics of the current stuff because we've had such a weird week. But we are going to start with something very positive at the very beginning. We're going to talk about quartz crystals. And we have clear quartz. What does that look like? I'm going to add a couple of images here to let you know. This is a clear quartz ball, of which you can find our clear quartz balls on avalonvisionsproducts.com, and they're relatively reasonable. Quartz is a really cool thing. We're also going to look at a couple of, what's that? That is what we're going to talk about. So first off, instead of focusing on what we're going to focus on, I'm just giving you a little warm up here. Focusing on the quartz crystals, they are used for focus. So I go into my cute little crystal Bible, which is, again, very worn out. And I go to LMNOPQ, quartz. I'm not there yet. There's so many stones. So if you look at quartz, it's a powerful healer. It's an energy amplifier. It is very unique, and but it's kind of unique to our planet. And it comes in lots of forms. It comes in amethyst as a quartz, citrine as a quartz, rose quartz as a quartz. There's blue quartz. There's just so many colors of quartz that are good to use. And if you're looking at a sphere, it kind of circulates the energy around you. If you are looking at something like this, where it's a little palm stone, you can rub it for energy. It helps you focus. It can help keep you sort of in a calm state. And if you're kind of trying to think about positive things, it can be a little bit of an angelic kind of thing because it's white and it puts you up into that realm. We also have a couple of different aspects here, and I just wanted to kind of show you. There's something along the lines of 10 or 15 pages of quartz in the Crystal Bible in different shapes. There's even a section in the back that just talks about the shapes of quartz, and all it does is talk about the shapes of quartz. There's probably more written about quartz than you can possibly imagine. So right here, this is available at the store. This is a $50 quartz point. You can tell that it has like a little twin almost kind of forming in the back, kind of where it has come out of its matrix. And something like this, if you wanted to have a little energy at your desk, you could kind of point it towards you. If you want to just kind of keep your energy a little, like put something in the corner, it will help to circulate the energy. Whereas something like this has little babies growing off of it, and something like that, you're looking at the shape of it. I kind of play with these things a little bit. It is called, where is it? There's a little name for it here. It's called a barnacle. And so it's got little stuff on it. So it would be like something along these lines. And this is going to be, oddly, like this one is 50, but this is a much clearer piece. It's longer, it's narrower. So in the store, this is 80. It also has a little growth on the side, and it's got little. This would be good for like dispersing energy. It's also it feels really good. So quartz is something that if you're trying to focus, you're trying to use a wand, you can pull energy through it and direct energy. And Jane, have you had some have you had a few quartzes over your time? Do you want to put some add
I have.
to that?
I have. Also, wherever I live, usually, like if I have permission from like if I'm staying with someone, and I have their permission, like I will go take like a little thing of quartz and like go do like a sigil like underneath their welcome mat,
Mm-hmm.
for protection and to go keep the bad juju out there, and just go keep the nice, clean, happy energy inside.
Yep.
Um,
It's very if you're in a room that's full of quartz crystals or any crystals for the quartz and amethyst and things like that, it does have this sort of you feel you kind of feel the earth, but it's also resonating at a pretty high frequency. And it does help to hold some energy for sure. And you don't need a huge piece either.
Isn't quartz the one where like if you rub two together, like it'll spark?
I think if you there's certain ones that if you go like this and you bang them tip to tip, they will spark. But there's certain ones that do that better, and you will actually ruin the tip of the quartz when you do it over time. But yeah, they will spark. And I haven't done that in a long time, but I have done that. And the two pieces of quartz that I used to do that do not have intact. Are not intact anymore as far as the tips. So, but if you had to, it's like banging anything together, and there's a reason for that. And I'd have to look it up at this point to remember the reason. But yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different things that quartzes are good for, and what you don't realize is like the screen you're probably looking right now is liquid quartz. Like it holds memory. Um, it's kind of quartz crystals there's record keepers. There's things that just kind of it's kind of in things you don't even know that it's in. So quartz is an interesting stone, and I encourage people to do a much better job researching it than I have just done describing it.
So what I'm hearing is quartz is the Pepperidge Farm of all crystals, where quartz remembers.
Quartz does. Other things, do different things. I mean, the kyanite will kind of fan out and cut energy depending on what you're buying. But there's quartz overall. It's in granite floors. So at one point I remember hearing that like in haunted houses where there's a lot of granite has been used, that it's like there's a lot. Sometimes there's like this imprint of like an imprinted kind of haunting, because the ghost, so to speak, repeats the behavior across. And I was thinking about like how I remember, and there is some evidence to support this, that part of the problem is that the place is quartz and granite, and it's holding memories and it's holding input. So there are people I know that will, visualize and hold quartz and program it. And you can clear it the same way you clear other stones in water. And so there's a number of things that you can use it for. But yeah, quartz is fun. And of course, this brings us down to, the materials that are used in building older buildings, such as the White House, like where there's marble floors and things of that nature, holding memories, institutional buildings.
Lots of memories.
And what?
Lots of memories.
And lots of memories. And so I want to encourage people to shop the quartz supply that we have on avalonvisions.com. But I also want to encourage you to do something a little different. Also, if you do have quartz, maybe get a picture of the White House and aim some quartz stones at the picture so that the stones are sort of pointing at it, and focus healing energy from those stones into the White House. We're not healing Trump, we're healing the grounds and the garden and the White House. Now, I do know, and I understand this, that it was built probably using slave labor at the time, but I can't think of a bigger way to dishonor the people that built it by taking a wrecking ball. And I'm going to put some pictures up because when I saw this, I felt nauseous. I do not actually understand how that could have been allowed to happen. So, what apparently there were some stop work orders on it, and I don't quote me on that, but I haven't been able to in the last couple of days be not busy enough to look at that, but apparently there were stop work orders. Currently, the situation looks like this. I don't know if you could see the to the left. To the left, you can see a picture of a very balanced neoclassical building. The center of the White House is in the middle, and then there's two wings. And the east wing is the long, narrow building on the left picture. And currently, you can see how much was taken out. The building was not supposed to be touched to make the ballroom. But as you can see, it was. The proposition is that the current East Wing, which is the top photo, will be replaced with this 90,000 square foot ballroom that is literally bigger than the entire Capitol building. And so I am at a point where I'm just pretty much, we talked last week, Joe and I did, and I know you were there in the background, but
I am always in the background.
it's strange, isn't it? But not today. Today you're in the foreground and you look amazing. So anyway, so last week we talked about not necessarily chaotic magic, but we talked about kind of a little more on the sort of what would you want to say, the what was it, what did we call it? We called it aggressive negotiations. And the week before we talked about radical magical defense. And what Joe and I were talking about in that was how you handle, how to, when it is time to draw a line and really fight. And because we're not out there, with swords in hand, we have other swords. We have tools.
I have a hairbrush. Does that count?
Only if you've got a piece of an orange buffoon's lock of hair in it, and you can bind it. Unless, of course, you clear yourself and wrap that around a candle. In candle magic, you can take a candle and you can wrap, like, say, a lock of your hair in it and do a cleansing on it, and that will help you. Or perhaps you can wrap a hair of somebody else's around a candle. And if anybody says, I don't believe in that, can you send me a piece of your hair? A little bit. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, then maybe you do believe. Unless, of course, you're just purely worried about me running the genetics on it, which would be a very expensive proposition. Probably I couldn't afford that.
That's true.
That's what?
I said that's true.
Yep, that is true. So basically, on the radical self-defense, radical aggressive kind of negotiations, kind of lumped into one. We kind of went down the list of how to do some of that, but at this point, the grounds of the White House need to be healed. And if you picture, and I would say right about now, if you picture that the White House has a very orange cancer within it, and the cancer has caused a limb to wither, that maybe we could focus some healing energy on what's left of the White House. You're losing your light. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm kind of so as I say, we're kind of in the middle of this very weird week. We had while the protests were going on, immediately following it, the narcissistic buffoon turned around on Monday and tore out the East Wing. I don't think there's any such a thing as a coincidence. I think that was a bit planned. So, all because Congress is out of the office because they can't seat the New Mexico's newest congressional member, because that would mean the 18th vote goes out to the to have the Epstein files released to Congress, and that can't have that. So I think this is a little bit tied into that. I can't say this enough, but they need to release the Epstein files, because at a certain point everybody's going to wake up. The tide is sort of turning. So on the more positive side, what happened this weekend? Do you know?
Wait, we actually have positive news in this timeline? How'd that happen?
Well, I'll tell you. We had a big nationwide protest.
Oh, yeah. And I saw a couple of signs that just lit my little heart up like nothing else.
I saw a few.
And I think maybe the Trump balloon with him like as in a diaper was probably my favorite. And like they have like the little tears like on the side. He's just like, yeah.
I've seen a few of those. In fact, somewhere here, I had a couple of those balloons in my office at one point. This I really did. I may still have a couple in my office. That's right up there with the toilet brush, which I have at my house. Yes, and the person that helps me out,
the one with the orange bristles.
Yeah, think she likes to use it, and she's I cleaned the toilet.
Yep.
I use the brush anyway, which is good because I need somebody to help me do some of that stuff. I work a lot, so. But yes, so that's a cool thing. And the other cool thing is that I think they said that at the first No Kings protest, which was in I think it was June. Yeah. That there was
on his birthday.
Something like
on his birthday.
Yeah, on his birthday. We like that. They didn't have a big turnout in Washington because he had the whole military parade.
Yep, the squeaky tanks.
Yeah, the squeaky tanks. He had those, and so they couldn't really do a turnout in Washington, but they did it everywhere else. And it was a pretty big. I think it was, what was it, 7 million or something turned out for it or something.
Yeah.
Well, it was closer to. It was. Let me see if I can Google. You know what? I have to Google the numbers. So, how many people turned?
I'll say it's somewhere around like 10, because there were hundreds of protests this time around.
Well, Let me see, actually, I wrote in June. Let me just write in June compared to October. So the No Kings rally said that there was something like overall, there was something around 5 million people in June. However, there were many, 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 many more protests. This time there were around 2,700 events. And there was.
So yeah, like it was 5 million in June and it was more than 7 for 7.5 like in October.
The
So
trend line is upwards. And if you find out what is 3.5% of the U.S. population, there's something called a 3.5% rule, and what that tells you is that if you have 3.5% of everybody taking to the streets and protesting any given government, no regime, which this is, has ever stood. It is normal in a democracy of any kind to have some protests. People protest, that they strike, they protest, they do things, but it's very limited for the most part. The kind of turnout that we saw, which was over 7 million, is about, it's not quite, it's probably just a little shy of 2%, but that's still a lot more than what was in June. And 3.5% is probably around 14,000 people, 14 million people in the US. So the trend line is upwards. I think, and I only have an opinion, and I have done a little scrying, and I have listened to what a lot of other people are saying in this. I think that if the teardown, if this had happened before the protest, that we would have seen over 10 million people on the streets. Because when I saw that, I got sick. Now, there has been remodeling done before. I think one of the presidents gutted the interior because it was like kind of rotting from the core. Of course, the British took it out in like the early 1800s, back when we were still fighting the British. And somehow rain put it out. Did you hear about that? Like, they lit it on fire and a big storm came in, and what people couldn't do was put out the fire, but it rained so hard it was kind of apparently a little freakish of a storm, although we didn't have weather prediction back then. It put the fire out. So and then of course probably slave labor rebuilt it again, which we should not be proud of, but at this point, at least
I
it was
wonder how many spirits that demolishment has
something.
released into the relative field around the White House.
Probably more than is would have been expected. Probably a lot. I mean, and remember, you don't have to die on a location to haunt a location, because if somebody is there, and a little off topic, but if somebody really preferred to shop at like a local store, they could well haunt the local store. And some of us actually are sensitive to some of that. So, like, you could have a ghost haunting your local Safeway if that's what they really like to spend their time doing, even if they died at the local hospital, 10 miles away. If they were really
Mm-hmm.
be haunted
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd be kind of panicky if like I went to go pick up some yogurt and there was like a dead relative over there trying to go swipe for like the celery and they're like, "Wait, why can't I get it?"
Well, you might not see them. There's that. Or maybe you would. I don't know. A talented medium might. Anyway, I might not notice. I might go like, this aisle feels creepy. But but seriously, when you dig around in an older building, you can have a haunting. Sometimes just moving a door frame, people go like, I saw a ghost come through the wall. Well, there used to be a door over there, so Mama Betty comes through the door expecting the room to be there. She still goes through the door because the wall doesn't mean as much to her as it might to you or me.
Yep.
So yeah, but I was thinking Betty, I meant Betsy Ross. So, but I don't think she lived in Washington. No, she was somewhere else. Anyway, it just kind of came to mind. I think what we're going to see now is like some major. Some people really don't like what happened, and I was researching it a little bit, and it does look like there may have been a stop work order. Not that orders mean anything to the Donald. Let's not call him the P word because he's kind of like that. Oh, you went away. Where's your picture? There you are.
I had to sneeze and like I'd rather not ugly sneeze like on camera, so just
Oh, well, the thing is, if you don't sneeze at the camera, it's probably good because you might see it coming towards the camera. I have
well, I
seen,
didn't do that, so we're good. We're good.
there was a movie that was called Coming at You. It was done in 3D. I
Uh-oh.
can't imagine that with a bad sneeze. Oh, no.
That sounds awful.
Mhm. Somebody could go sneeze on somebody in the White House. Oh, and for those of you who don't like vaccines, I want you to remind you that Trump got his updated vaccines, including his flu shot and his COVID shot, before he left to go travel to the Mideast to take the credit for stopping a war, which he may have had a hand in, but he also probably had a hand in starting it too, by being weak. So we don't have to go there, but so this is all of these things that are happening are all tied together, and for those of us who are practitioners, we need to be worried because he's just demonstrated that he has no respect for what is currently in place by simply ripping out a building that he sat and said, I will not be doing this. I'm not going to touch the building that's existing. And he did. He ripped out an entire historical monument. And so I would like to see everybody who sees this, and they don't have to be this big. Honestly, you can have a smaller quartz crystal. You can have a little tiny quartz. I sell little tiny quartz crystals at up front that are like $1 a piece. If you buy a bunch, I usually give you a discount. You can come in the store and do that. You can, pretty much little tiny tumbled ones that are like 50 cents. You can put stuff around the White House. I suggest that if we're looking at this, that you do that you get an image or get a little model of something and start focusing healing energy on it. Now, I'm also not against taking an image of Trump and doing a good solid binding. I think we talked about bindings last week, didn't we? Could you?
We did.
Yep, we did. So, you can also do a good binding, something that is like that on.
I mean, if you're trying to be really special, you can go take 5 of the circular quartz crystals, just go put them around a picture of the White House,
Mm,
and go imbue them with the spirit of golems, just ready to go stop any more further demolition or any more
okay,
buildings. So
that would be good too. When we talk about we know that we have an intention to heal the country. Um, we don't want to harm anybody, but sometimes It's kind of like self-defense.
Mhm.
If you're a soldier and you're trying to protect um, people around you, you might have to you might have to pick up an arms and fight in order to protect. Now, we're not saying, and I want to be very clear on this, to pick up any sort of a loaded weapon other than something like this and doing it remotely, um, because that would be illegal and we will not recommend that. But so this is kind of one of those things where if you're working with the crystal or a tool like that, it is a loaded weapon for us. And and if you focus really strong healing energy, it may actually help um, stop some of the stuff that's happening. And I think that should be what we're doing. Because if you take the evil out of somebody who's evil because you heal some part of them, that can also stop them from continuing to do bad things. And sometimes it just takes such a big chunk out of them, it leaves them like invalid, like an invalid person. But that's okay too, because the stroke will stop him from doing any more decision making. Yeah.
I meant to go mention this in one of the previous podcasts concerning um, binding and things of that nature. Binding doesn't always have to be like everything has been cut off,
Hmm.
like from the outside in. It could also be like in the reverse, where if they are, if there is a series of people that are trying to imbue, let's say, discernment, which
Hmm.
is introspection, things
Hmm.
of that nature. And that person who usually tries to avoid those, like it owes them money, suddenly is hit with this spirit of discernment and collective spirit and trying to go figure out whether or not what they're doing is actually right or wrong, or even just like take a moment to really think about it. Like that in of itself can like go stop someone dead in their tracks.
Well, yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of things that we have open to us, and I suggest that you be creative with them. Again, you can't walk out the door with an actual physical weapon and then go marching off to you know pretend you're to play soldier with it. But you can march to your altar, and you
Hmm.
can you can work remotely on sending energy to you basically you could take an image, any image. You can take an image of a tree, and you can focus the energy out of this. Is what happens to be on my desk. Conveniently, I have tons of paper on my desk. I wonder why. Anyway, but you can take any kind of image. You can write the address down and put a picture of it, and aim things at it. I, I think I think we have a better shot at working on the property that is so iconic than we do actually of working on the person who is currently tearing it up. And why I think that is because I think there's there's a greater chance that a larger percentage of the people that support the buffoon they actually have in their heart this like warm spot for the White House. Do you know what I mean? So I think that the chances of us working to heal that land, and that you know and also literally to talk to the people, the ancestors, like, yes, slaves helped build it. So if you're descended from somebody that helped build that, and probably didn't do it willingly, obviously didn't do it willingly, send some healing energy at that, because at this point, sending healing energy that direction, because we know that it's just probably infinitely worse with the guy that's in there. We want to restore it. Whoever built it, we want to restore it, and we want to get it so that it is, can be a respected place again. And hopefully we can, make some reparations that'll kind of bring it up energetically too as well. So I'm just, my concern is that we definitely need to aim energy at things.
Yes.
More sneezing. I really want to see that coming up this sorry. It's all good.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So and so on that note, get your quartz crystals out. It is fall. We're right up on Samhain, and there's a lot of energy out there. And if you feel like waking up some spirits around the little golems out there around the White House, you can probably get in touch with them pretty much more easily right about now than maybe 6 months ago. So I feel that we should focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe next week we'll do a little more work with that. We are going to change the days that we're doing the broadcasts, basically because Joe is not going to be available on Fridays to do them, which is why he's not with us tonight. But we didn't want to disappoint, so we'll announce the day. It may be a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
He is just doing us a big proud, and is at his job, and hours have changed. So, yay! Everybody, round of applause for Tequila doing all the great things, making all the great food.
He's making great food, and I'm really stoked that he's doing what he's doing. And hopefully, when we come back next week, it'll be a little less boring because Joe will be back.
Right?
So, yeah. So I just want to really thank our magically protected garage goblin for having come out and really helped us out today. And we'll be loading this up, and you'll see this episode also on YouTube and on the Facebook channel in a little tiny bit. But that's it, folks. Anything to add before we go off?
Be sure to like and subscribe. Help us get to 6 million.
So that would be great. And remember, you can subscribe also on Facebook too. Don't forget it. If you're watching this, make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to shop online too, because it all helps. Awesome possum.
Bye.
Bye.